very humbling experience to say, oh, I could impact other people just by sharing something that I experienced in my life. I think that's the most powerful thing you can talk about. Some people who are listening might be like, well, I don't have this amazing story of losing 100 pounds, or I don't have this amazing story of becoming a six-figure business owner. You don't need to have that crazy, amazing, transformational story to make an impact. Your voice is powerful no matter whether you think you're a big deal or not. People will resonate with your story when you follow certain structures and formats and techniques and speak from the heart. All of us have something that we're so passionate about that we cannot keep it within our heart anymore.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 146 of the Game On Girlfriend podcast. I love speaking. I think speaking is one of the most extraordinary avenues we have to get our message out to more people. I think it's also a great way to add value when people can't afford to work with you, or they may not be interested in working with you directly, but there's a message they need to hear that you can share and move people and connect with people. Like, we need to know that we can connect with our fellow humans. We need to know that what we are experiencing matters. And speaking is such an extraordinary way to do that, not only for us, but for anyone who can hear us speak. Today, I'm so excited to bring you our guest, Jenn Espinosa Goswami. Jenn is a professional speaker, and she's also a holistic wellness coach at Weightless LLC. Now, she happened to drop a little nugget inside today's podcast episode. I hope you wait for it, where she talks about her weight loss journey. She's lost 100 pounds. And she first shared that story at Toastmasters, which is so cool. Jenn really took this organic experience of speaking and all of the struggles she went through, all the mistakes she made in learning how to become a great speaker, and really has distilled that down for the people who get to work with her. And you're also going to hear that in today's podcast. She is so generous. You're going to walk away with real tangible things you can do. And you are really going to understand, as a speaker, what do you actually need in order to get started right now? Pop in those earphones and let's get to it. Jenn, welcome to the Game On Girlfriend podcast. I'm really excited to be talking about speaking today. We have a lot of people asking us questions. Let's get the party started. Well, first of all, can you just tell us a little bit about how you started this for yourself? Like, why do you love to teach people about speaking and getting paid to speak? What is it about this industry that lights you up, and how did you get here?
Well, I never really thought I would become a speaker because I was the shy, quiet girl at school. Like, I never said boo to anyone. I was a morbidly obese kid as a child, so I got bullied like crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And one thing you learn when you don't want to bring attention to yourself is how to hide.
Yeah.
So I was really good at hiding and keeping quiet and not bringing attention to myself until I was an adult and I was working in corporate. I worked in financial services for many, many years, and it was just something I fell into. It wasn't what I went to school for. But one of my professional development goals was to join a group and get better at something. And the only group that appealed to me was Toastmasters International. I got to the point where I was an officer of the club. I was winning speech contests. I had people coming up to me and saying, "You are a natural." And I was passionate about speaking. And I happened to have a personal story too of losing 100 pounds. So I'm like, those two made the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that launched me onto the stages.
Oh my gosh, that is such a great tagline.
I got to a point in Toastmasters where I didn't know what to talk about anymore because I'd been talking about so many things. I was several years into the organization and I'm like, what's next? I don't know what else to talk about. So I talked about the loser, who happened to be me, but I was talking about her in the third person. And after that presentation, it was 5 to 7 minutes. The person I admired the most within my group came up to me afterwards and she's like, "I'm going to take control of my health. I'm going to change my life. You have inspired me to take that next step. Thank you so much." And that was the seed of this idea that there are people who take stories and examples and case studies and successes that they've experienced in their own life and pay it forward to whoever in their audience is ready for that message. And it's a very humbling experience to say, oh, I could impact other people just by sharing something that I experienced in my life. I think that's the most powerful thing you can talk about. Just to throw it out there, because some people who are listening might be like, well, I don't have this amazing story of losing 100 pounds, or I don't have this amazing story of becoming a six-figure business owner. I get it. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to have that crazy, amazing, transformational story to make an impact and to connect with your audience. And I think it's important to understand that your voice is powerful no matter whether you think you're a big deal or not. People will resonate with your story when you follow certain structures and formats and techniques and speak from the heart.
Yeah.
And all of us have something that we're so passionate about that we cannot keep it within our heart anymore.
I love that. I think it doesn't matter so much that it's like, I went from living on the streets to making $10 million. It doesn't have to be that extreme.
It's interesting when you're building anything. So for me, losing weight or building my business, it's the same perspective. It's a long-term marathon. And so, nobody goes from like, I don't know what I'm doing to like, I'm an amazing success story. Nobody does that. So it's what you learn in between along the way that you're like, okay, this is what I'm ready to do. This is what I can do. I never thought this was possible for myself. It is possible. And I'm going to keep doing the work.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. And we coaches say that all the time, right? It's who you become when you set the goal. But it is like, it's that learning that actually, like the goal is the booby prize, right? Like the moment of triumph, it's actually who you have to become in that journey. And so, Jenn, I really want to talk to you. Like, I think so many people have this idea that in order to be a successful speaker, right, there's only one path. Right. You have to have this amazing keynote. You have to like be shiny and wear $80 million shoes. Like you have to just have it nailed. Like how many different ways can somebody start to learn to speak?
There is nothing that is going to launch you into being a speaker. Speakers speak. So if you are like, I'm a speaker, then you start speaking from day one of you declaring that you're a speaker. What does that look like? Well, that depends on you. Do you have an audience to speak to? Then you start speaking to that audience consistently. If you don't have an audience, no problem. You could show up on someone else's audience and deliver amazing value to them. But what speakers do is they speak. Speaking is not like an identity. It's not like something you just suddenly become. It's what you do. Here's the interesting thing. You don't need any marketing collateral to start pitching yourself as a speaker, either on your profiles or through email if you're making contacts within the industry that you want to deliver value to. Okay. You need to make those contacts, and you need to understand that speaking is a business, just like any other part of your business. You make the contacts, you tell them that you speak on such topics, ABC topics, and you tell them how you can add value to their audience. So speakers speak. If you're not currently speaking, you can certainly do it on your own and run your own events. Otherwise, find those other people's audiences or stages that you most want to appear on. I can usually tell when I'm on a discovery call with someone whether they're going to work with me, because the people who say, I need to wait for my speaker reel to be finished, or I need to prep this, or I need to do this first, I know they're not going to work with me. They're not ready to own being a speaker yet. They are pushing it off. They're saying, nope, I'm going to wait. I'm going to procrastinate on this. You're not going to do it if you procrastinate. Even if you don't have any content, that is something you can work with on me. Like I can help you figure out what that topic can be, a topic that people will pay for. Not all topics are things that your audience would pay for. So that's something to pay attention to as well. Sometimes people want to speak about a beautiful personal story, but it doesn't lead anywhere in terms of the work they do in this world or what people can take action on. And so those are things that I can help people with in understanding that, yes, you need to, show up and speak, but you also need to understand what the speaking cycle looks like how you promote yourself, how you sell yourself, and how you make those connections, because the audience is not your client.
The person who pays you to speak is your client, right?
That's right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's a paradigm shift for people.
It is. The biggest bummer, Sarah, is when you're like, the audience loved me. I had people come up to me and shake my hand, and they were saying all these wonderful things, and you don't get an invitation to speak again. That's the biggest bummer in the world, because you're like, where did I mess up?
What happened? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would assume you probably have to coach people through that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a confidence bummer, right? Because you're like, oh, I thought I did an amazing job, and everyone told me I did an amazing job. How come nobody else is inviting me? Well, it could be because you were focusing on the wrong client.
So interesting. No, I think that's really valuable. And I think that just goes back to what I think we're trying to do when we speak anyway, right? Is really create a relationship, create a knowing, but to not lose sight of which relationships need to be cultivated in addition to the one with the audience. So as people are crafting this, right, I could imagine, as somebody who helps people start businesses, when they start with this, like, I'm going to be a speaker, they're like, I can speak on this and 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 this. Is it more beneficial to go out to everybody and say, I can do anything you need ever in the history of the world? Or is it better for someone to have a signature talk? And what does that do for them if they have that?
One of the hardest things you'll do when you have decided you're going to become a speaker is that single signature topic. I know it's tough. I know you can speak on a lot of things. I know you have a lot of passions in your life and business. You got to choose just one, because you need to be consistently showing up as an expert in whatever that topic is.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're like, yeah, I'll customize a program just for you, that program will never go anywhere outside of that audience, because it's not consistent. It's not a brand promise that you are offering. It's a specific customizable program. And you can certainly do that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, because sometimes the customized programs are the higher ticket, but you need to establish your expertise first so that people know your topic and they know your name. Because when event planners are looking for speakers, they don't necessarily care about your name or where you've been featured or whether you have a speaker reel. I mean, they want to understand the sense of you as a speaker, but they're going to choose your topic first. So if your topic is not amazing and doesn't fit what they're looking for, sorry, you could be the best speaker in the world. They are not going to hire you.
Topic first, like making sure that that topic is going to serve the person who's hiring you, meaning that the goals they have for the audience are met, not the goals you have for the audience. So they're setting that up for you, right? They see the topic, and then they're going to go check out and make sure you don't talk like this.
I promise I would share some DIY tricks. You know, if you don't have a speaker reel, what do you do? Or if you don't have a visual of you standing on a stage with a microphone and speaking, how do you show that you're a speaker? Because visualization is really important. Here's what you can do. Take your phone, you've got a phone, take your phone, start recording yourself, share a little bit about your program. You can even do the speaker kit description of your program. Like, this is the title of my program. These are the 3 audience takeaways. This is who I am as an expert in this topic. And this is how you contact me. It is that simple. It can be a 2 to 3 minute video that you record on your phone. Make sure you have good lighting and good audio. That's the 2 main things. And once you have that, you have video footage that you can share in applications to speaking opportunities. And I just want to throw one thing out there, because this is a problem I see a lot in folks who are new to speaking, is they are so involved in their industry that they use a lot of jargon.
Speak on it, sister. Go.
Yeah, like, oh, I help you release your limiting beliefs. What on earth does that mean to someone who is not in your industry? Nobody outside of your industry knows what you're talking about. So please make it like something that a 3rd grader can understand, because our audience is not stupid, but they also are not as deep into your industry as you are. So understand that they need it in plain speak so that it's clear what they're receiving from your program.
God, it's interesting, because that's almost like the part where you don't recognize your story is actually profound, right? Because it's just your story. It's also like not recognizing where people may not understand what you're talking about because you just do it every day. It's like that. It's that same mechanism at work. Like, but I do this every day, so it's no big deal. And I think, in my humble opinion, one of the great things speaking gives us is the ability to sort of self-reflect, kind of step back for a minute. And that's how we find those stories. But I think it's also how we learn to speak and share in a way that anyone can understand. Yeah.
Very much so. And metaphors and stories will be good. And I don't mean like your own story. It doesn't have to be your own story. It could be your client's case studies. It could be a statistic that you picked up. It could be a quote from someone in your industry who's an influencer. Just understand that people connect to different stories. And the more stories you have at your disposal, don't discount the everyday things that happen that could be the most powerful way for you to connect with your audience, so they understand, I see myself in this example. Like, they may not have the same type of goals that you have, but they need to see themselves in your stories and your speaking.
What does somebody actually really need? Like, let's talk about this for a second, because I think there's a myth out there, not only like the speaker's reel, like you said, or 85,000 years of speaking, or like the 10,000 hour rule, whatever. Does somebody have to have a book and a TED Talk and like 45 hours on the stage? Like, what does somebody actually need? If they're listening to this podcast, Jen, and they're like super pumped right now, they're like, I'm going to do this. What do they need right now to get started?
You actually don't need a speech ready.
I believe you.
You don't need that speech ready. In fact, Applications for speaking opportunities go out 90 days and as many as 2 years, depending on what opportunities you're looking at. Some of the annual conferences book out 2-3 years in advance. What you do need is a speaker kit. Now, you may know this as a speaker sheet, a media kit. There are a lot of different terms for it. So what should you include in your speaker kit? Because if you don't have this, you cannot apply for speaking opportunities. I mean, that's just it. You can't get started.
Okay.
What are the main elements? You need an expert speaker bio. This could be the same as the bio you use on your website, like your About Me or your LinkedIn profile or wherever you happen to hang out. But it's more than that because it's showing your expertise as a speaker. So it needs your education. It needs your expertise. It needs some fun because we don't want another dry, boring MA from this and BA from that. Nobody cares.
Right.
So make it interesting. So you need your expert speaker bio, definitely. You need your speech title and or topic. So if you don't have a title, we can work on that. That's a free mini coaching session I offer. We can get you figured out in 30 minutes or less. But if you don't have a topic, you can't get started because you can't be like, oh, I talk about all these things. We've mentioned that already. Don't talk about all the things. Talk about one thing really well, consistently. And then you need your speech description, which is usually 2 to 3 sentences about that topic. What do you bring to this topic that nobody else is bringing to it? And if you're like, I have no idea, there's so many people speaking on this topic, I can help you with that because you are unique in this world.
Jen's like, call me. Yeah.
You bring a unique perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can help you dig that out because sometimes we don't see ourselves for where we are because we're no big deal, right?
It's so true. All the way down to like, what story do I tell? Or who's like, what do I talk about? It's that thing. We just don't recognize our own greatness sometimes. It's so cool.
I love that. We don't recognize our own greatness. So true. So true. And then finally, the 3 key audience takeaways. Now you can go 3 to 5. Most presentations are 60 minutes or less. So make sure you can fit it within a 60-minute presentation. So I usually recommend a minimum of 3 audience takeaways. So this is not what you want the audience to know. This is not the how-to. This is what the audience will do differently or think differently about after you're done presenting. So that's a bit of a perspective shift, right? It's not about everything they need to know about your topic. It's what they will leave with and do differently as a result of hearing you speak. So think on that.
So good. So good. I mean, and in line with that, Jenn, I believe you have a free gift for the listeners. Yes?
I do. Yeah, so if you're like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, I don't know what to do, download the signature speech template. So here's why this template is important for you. It gives you the outline of your speech. And you may be like, I've written speeches before. I know how to do an outline. What's the big deal? No, there's a very specific way you outline a signature speech so that it's crisp, it's clear, and there's a call to action that your audience wants to take action on. So definitely download the template. And I also help you envision what success looks like for you. I work with a variety of clients. Sometimes they're like, I just want to show up, get paid to speak, and leave. I don't care if I offer my program. Cool. That's your version of success. Now, some people are like, I don't care if I get paid to show up, but I want to sell my program. Great. That's your version of success. Now, it won't change how you do your speech, but it will change how you're applying to different opportunities. So take a look at that download and be very clear on your speaking goals. Many of us are just like, I'll just start speaking and figure it out. Well, I did that too. And it left me on a long marathon journey of trying to figure out how do I become more effective at this. So don't make the same mistake I did. Get clear right away.
Love it. You guys definitely grab that, especially if maybe your coach has urged you to speak and said getting out there and then telling people your story or having people get a flavor for who you are and watching you teach, watching you share what you have. Please go grab this outline. Jenn, this has been amazing. How can people find you if they'd like to learn more?
Find me on Instagram at Jenn with 2 N's, Spingo. And I'm also on LinkedIn. My website is weightlesschronicles.com. And you can schedule a free mini coaching session with me at any time that fits for you if you want to get started on that speaker kit.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. You guys, we are going to have those links under this video if you're watching on YouTube, or they will be in the show notes if you are catching this audio only. Jenn, thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom with us today on such an important topic for people who are experts in their field. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah. I love getting the game on with your coaches.
Yeah, let's go.